Kendrick Lamar just did the unthinkable. He silenced Drake's entire camp with one single move that nobody saw coming. Imagine this: 80,000 fans packed inside a roaring stadium in Mexico, chanting Kendrick's name so loud it drowned out every whisper of Drake's legacy. People who were there say the energy felt like an earthquake, phones shaking, screams echoing, and grown men crying as Kendrick took the stage. But here's where it gets even crazier. What Kendrick did that night wasn't just a concert. It was a declaration of war, according to multiple insider leaks. Drake's team had been planning to use Mexico as their stronghold, a place to rebuild his brand after being battered by Kendrick's lyrical attacks. But Kendrick found out, and instead, he turned that same city into his battlefield. The way Kendrick controlled that crowd, the way he dropped hidden shots that no one expected, it left Drake's entire camp scrambling, silenced, and humiliated. And trust me, this is only the beginning. Because the footage, the backstage whispers, and the shocking reactions from Drake's own people prove one thing: this feud has reached a point of no return. So, what really happened that night in Mexico? To understand why that night in Mexico was so explosive, you have to go back to the roots of this rivalry. Kendrick Lamar and Drake were never just two rappers competing for charts. They were two worlds colliding, two empires refusing to bow down. For years, fans debated who was the real king of hip-hop. Drake had the numbers, the radio hits, the celebrity alliances. Kendrick had the respect, the lyricism, and the kind of artistry that even legends like Nas and Rakim couldn't ignore. But behind the music, there was always tension. Industry insiders whispered about backroom arguments, secret disses buried in songs, and record label executives betting on who would collapse first. Drake's OVO camp was known for playing chess with the industry's sneaky rollouts, strategic collaborations, carefully timed leaks. Kendrick's TDE camp, on the other hand, prided themselves on honesty, authenticity, and firepower. To them, Drake wasn't just competition, he was everything wrong with the machine. Fast forward to 2023 to 2025, and the tension exploded. Kendrick didn't just throw subliminals, he went straight for Drake's throat with bars that shook the culture. Control was just the beginning years ago, but his more recent shots lit the internet on fire. Fans clipped every line, dissected every word, and made it clear Kendrick was done playing nice. Drake fired back, of course, but something was different this time. The public wasn't laughing with him, they were laughing at him. By 2025, every diss, every leaked message, every performance was part of a bigger war. Drake's team doubled down, trying to prove he was still untouchable. But then came Mexico. Now, here's where it gets personal. According to a leaked conversation from someone close to OVO, Drake's plan was simple: dominate Mexico. Why? Because Latin America had become one of the fastest-growing regions for streaming numbers, live shows, and brand deals. Drake believed if he could conquer Mexico, it would reignite his global dominance. His camp allegedly poured millions into setting up a mega show, brand partnerships, and influencer campaigns. They wanted headlines like "Drake takes Mexico." But Kendrick found out. And when Kendrick finds out, he doesn't just respond, he takes the entire blueprint and flips it into something no one can recover from. Instead of letting Drake shine, Kendrick booked a massive stadium, filling it with 80,000 fans. To put that into perspective, that's bigger than most Super Bowls. And these weren't casual fans. These were die-hard believers, people screaming every lyric. People holding signs that mocked Drake's fall from grace. Imagine the humiliation. Drake's camp thought Mexico was theirs, but Kendrick hijacked the spotlight in the most brutal way possible. Fans online called it a live funeral for OVO, with hashtags like #Mexico belongs to Kendrick and #Drake got silenced, trending worldwide within hours. But what made this background even deadlier was the buildup of betrayal inside Drake's own camp. Rumors spread that some of Drake's closest allies were secretly watching Kendrick's performance that night. Screenshots began to surface of OVO insiders liking Kendrick-related posts, as if they knew the tide had turned. It wasn't just a battle between rappers anymore, it was survival. And Drake's own people were beginning to doubt him. And that's the key to why Mexico mattered. It wasn't just a concert. It was a public execution, a message, and a humiliation wrapped in one. Kendrick didn't just perform, he weaponized the crowd. He turned every scream into a dagger, every lyric into a shot at Drake, and every beat into a reminder that the throne was his. The stage was set. Drake's camp thought they had control, but Kendrick shattered it in front of 80,000 people. But if you think that's where it ends, you're wrong. Because what happened during that concert, the secret messages, the hidden shots, and the shocking twist halfway through turned this into a nightmare Drake could never have prepared for. The night in Mexico wasn't just a concert. It was a battlefield. From the very first second Kendrick Lamar stepped onto that stage, you could feel it. This wasn't about music anymore. This was about domination. The stadium went dark. 80,000 fans held their breath. And then the screen lit up with one line that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Some camps think they own hip-hop. Tonight, we bury them. The crowd erupted. Everyone knew exactly who Kendrick was talking about. And while Drake's team scrambled online, trying to spin narratives, Kendrick walked onto that stage like a general leading his army. No flashy dancers. No celebrity guests. Just him, a mic, and raw energy that shook the arena to its core. According to insiders who were in the crowd, the atmosphere was so loud that reporters outside the venue could hear the chants, "Kendrick, Kendrick, Kendrick." It was the kind of roar you couldn't fake, the kind of sound that made even the biggest Drake supporters admit this night belonged to K. But here's where it gets even wilder. Halfway through the set, Kendrick paused the music. Dead silence fell over the stadium. Then he looked directly into the camera and said, "They wanted Mexico. I gave Mexico a voice. And tonight, that voice don't sound like OVO." The audience lost it. And at that exact moment, giant screens lit up with viral memes mocking Drake, footage of him getting booed at Camp Flog Gnaw, clips of fans walking out of his shows, and most shockingly, a never-before-seen leaked clip of Drake backstage yelling at his own team. The crowd gasped. Where did Kendrick get that footage? Nobody knows for sure. But insider sources claim it was leaked by someone once very close to Drake, someone who wanted revenge. Social media immediately exploded with speculation, pointing fingers at former OVO affiliates who'd quietly disappeared from Drake's circle. Was it a bitter ex-producer, a former bodyguard, or worse, someone still inside? And then came the first real dagger. Kendrick dropped a brand new verse never released, never teased, clearly aimed at Drake. Every line was a punch to the gut. Was it a producer, a close friend, or even someone Drake trusted with his life? The internet was in a frenzy, and the suspicion alone was enough to tear Drake's camp apart from the inside. Allies started pointing fingers, friendships crumbled, and whispers of betrayal spread like wildfire. And that's where the first major twist drops. Kendrick didn't just silence Drake's camp with music. He exposed the possibility of a traitor lurking in Drake's circle, someone who may have handed him all the ammunition he needed. The crowd in Mexico left chanting Kendrick's name. But online, the real storm was brewing. Drake's empire was cracking, and now the world wanted to know who betrayed him from the inside. The morning after Mexico, hip-hop didn't wake up, detonated. Social media wasn't just buzzing, it was on fire. Every platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, was flooded with clips of Kendrick's Stadia massacre. Headlines screamed, "Kendrick destroys Drake in front of 80,000. Drake camp in panic after leaked texts. Who is the traitor inside OVO?" The betrayal narrative had taken over. Fans were dissecting every blurred screenshot, zooming in on every pixel, convinced they could identify the insider who had allegedly fed Kendrick those explosive details. Threads went viral with wild theories. It has to be one of his producers. The handwriting matches. Nah, this looks like a manager's phone. The way the texts are worded. That's someone close to the money. Wait, could it be one of the artists signed to OVO? Someone jealous of Drake's spotlight. By noon, OVO Trader was trending worldwide. And here's the thing, Kendrick didn't confirm or deny any of it. He just let the chaos spread, watching Drake's empire crumble in real time. But then came the celebrity reactions, and this is where things spiraled out of control. A$AP Rocky posted a cryptic tweet. Some kings build empires. Some just rent castles. Fans instantly connected it to Drake. Cardi B liked a fan post calling Kendrick's. Mexico showed the moment Drake lost the war. Even Kanye West, who had been quiet for months, posted an Instagram story with the caption, "Told y'all the machine always breaks down." Kendrick unplugged it, and then LeBron James jumped in. LeBron, known for his close friendship with Drake, shocked everyone by posting a video from the Mexico concert. The camera panned across the roaring 80,000 fans while Kendrick shouted his anti-OVO bars, and LeBron captioned it with just 3 words, "This is history." Fans lost their minds. Did LeBron just switch sides? The betrayal wasn't just inside OVO anymore, was coming from Drake's celebrity circle. Insiders say Drake was furious. He reportedly called LeBron directly, demanding an explanation. But the call didn't go well. A leaked recording, allegedly from someone in Drake's own house, surfaced online. In the clip, you can hear a voice believed to be Drake, yelling, "How could you post that, bro? You know what this means for me. You're feeding the fire." Whether the clip was authentic or not, it didn't matter. The damage was already done. And then came the shocking reveal that nobody was ready for. Late that night, Kendrick's official YouTube channel dropped a surprise video titled "The Truth." Fans clicked instantly, expecting maybe a new track or a highlight reel from Mexico. But what they got was far more explosive. The video showed a compilation of backstage footage, Drake arguing with his team. Managers panicking, phones blowing up with alerts. But then, at the end, Kendrick dropped a bombshell, a blurred-out voice memo. Allegedly from someone inside OVO, the voice said, "Drake thinks he's untouchable, but he ain't listening. We're bleeding money. We're losing respect. And honestly, maybe it's time someone showed him." The internet froze. Was this the mole? Was this proof that someone inside OVO had not only betrayed Drake, but wanted him to fall? Fans replayed the clip 1,000 times, analyzing the accent, the pauses, the background noise. Some swore it sounded like a longtime OVO executive. Others claimed it matched the voice of a well-known producer. And here's the craziest part. Minutes after Kendrick's video dropped, Instagram accounts tied to OVO members started going dark. Pages deleted. Comments disabled. Silenced. To fans. That was confirmation. Somebody in Drake's house had turned on him. Industry insiders began weighing in. One anonymous label exec told a hip-hop blog, "This isn't just a beef anymore. This is corporate warfare." If OVO really has a mole, Drake's empire could collapse from the inside. And yet, Kendrick still hadn't said a word publicly beyond the Mexico performance. He didn't tweet. He didn't post. He just let the footage, the leaks, and the rumors snowball. Every hour that passed, Drake's camp looked weaker, more desperate, and more divided. Meanwhile, fans at the Mexico show kept posting first-hand stories. One viral TikTok featured a girl crying while saying, "I've been to Drake's shows. It's not like this. Kendrick made us feel like part of history. Drake can never top this." The culture was shifting. Drake was no longer the untouchable hitmaker. He was the man being mocked, questioned, and abandoned. And just when people thought the night couldn't get any worse for Drake, another detail emerged. Screenshots surfaced of tickets, allegedly purchased by people directly connected to OVO for Kendrick's Mexico show. Were Drake's own people in the crowd that night, cheering for the opposition? The betrayal cut deeper, and the paranoia inside OVO reached a boiling point. And that's the cliffhanger. If Drake's own people were in Mexico, screaming Kendrick's name, then the question isn't just who is the mole. The question is, how many moles are there? By the next morning, the internet wasn't just divided, it was on fire. Every timeline, every feed, every comment section was war. Fans weren't just debating anymore. They were drawing battle lines. And the biggest question on everyone's lips was simple. Did Kendrick just end Drake? On Twitter, one viral post racked up millions of views in hours. Drake built a mansion in Toronto. Kendrick built an army in Mexico. Which one really lasts? Thousands of fans quoted it, some cheering, some furious. But nobody could ignore it. Instagram feeds turned into battlegrounds. Fan pages posted side-by-side clips of Drake's last concert versus Kendrick's Mexico takeover. The contrast was brutal. Drake's crowd looked half-engaged, while Kendrick's 80,000 fans screamed like their lives depended on it. The captions told the story. OVO is fading. K. is rising. TikTok exploded with edits of Kendrick's diss lines synced to Drake memes. One particularly savage video showed Drake's face photoshopped onto a sinking ship, with Kendrick standing tall on the shore, mic in hand. It wasn't just jokes anymore. People were openly questioning if Drake's era was over. And the celebrity reactions. They made it 10 times worse. J. Cole, who had tried to stay neutral for years, shocked everyone with a midnight tweet. Real, recognize real. Mexico was different. Fans instantly took it as him siding with Kendrick, and screenshots of his post spread like wildfire. Rihanna liked a fan comment saying Drake should have stayed quiet. Kendrick just silenced him for good. That single like turned into headlines. Did Rihanna just pick Kendrick over Drake? Even Jay's rarely. One to comment on public beefs was allegedly caught on a hot mic at an industry event saying, "The culture shifted last night." That wasn't just a show. That was a takeover. Meanwhile, inside the industry, executives were panicking. Drake wasn't just a rapper, he was a brand, a billion-dollar business, a global franchise. If the public truly turned against him, sponsors, labels, and partnerships could evaporate overnight. One anonymous source told Rolling Loud Media, "If fans believe Drake's camp is compromised, if they believe there's a traitor inside, the trust is gone. And without trust, you don't have an empire, you have a house of cards." But perhaps the most brutal blow came from within the fanbase itself. For the first time in years, hardcore OVO fans were turning on Drake. In comment sections across Reddit and Twitter, former defenders wrote things like, "I've been riding for Drake since Take Care, but this feels different." Kendrick didn't just diss him, he embarrassed him. If there really is a mole inside OVO, then Drake's own team doesn't even believe in him anymore. That says it all. "I was in Mexico. I saw the crowd. Drake can never match that. It's over." And while Drake stayed quiet, the silence spoke louder than any track could. Kendrick's camp didn't need to release more statements. The streets, the blogs, the fans, Everyone was doing the work for them. But here's the sinister part. Some fans weren't content just to speculate. They wanted names. They wanted the mole exposed. A hashtag began trending. Hashtag Who Betrayed Drake. Conspiracy threads popped up everywhere, accusing specific OVO affiliates of turning against their boss. The paranoia was no longer inside. OVOWIT was out in the open, spreading like poison. And then came the industry divide. Radio DJs started debating live on air. One New York host said, "Drake's been running the game for a decade. But what Kendrick did in Mexico, that's not just a challenge, that's a dethroning." Another replied, "Don't count Drake out. He survived before. But if these leaks are real, he's fighting his own camp, not just Kendrick." Hip-hop blogs published think pieces. Is this the beginning of the end for Drake? Podcasts dissected every second of the Mexico show. YouTubers uploaded breakdowns titled Kendrick's Mexico Massacre Explained. And yet, through all of this, Kendrick remained silent. No tweets, no interviews, nothing, just silence. And that silence was more powerful than any diss track, because it forced the world to keep talking for him. Drake, on the other hand, was trapped. If he responded, he risked looking desperate. If he stayed silent, he looked defeated. Every second that ticked by was another win for Kendrick. But just when people thought the dust might settle, new whispers began to spread. Industry insiders claimed Kendrick wasn't done. Mexico, they said, was only phase 1. The real bombshell was still on the way on this time. It wasn't just about Drake's music, and that's the chilling cliffhanger. If Mexico silenced Drake's camp, then what's next could bury it forever. But just when the world thought things couldn't possibly get messier, a chilling twist surfaced that shifted the narrative once again. A late-night insider drop on Twitter Spaces revealed that an FBI document allegedly connected to Epstein's Black Book investigation might include a shocking reference to someone close to Donald Trump's inner circle. And if the whispers were true, Melania's name wasn't the only one floating around in these leaks. The space quickly went viral, with over 100,000 live listeners tuned in before it mysteriously cut off mid-sentence, leaving the world to spiral into speculation. Fans began questioning whether the FBI itself had intentionally shut down the broadcast. This is bigger than just Melania and Epstein, one caller claimed during the space. This looks like a whole operation being covered up in real time. Within minutes, TikTok was flooded with conspiracy edits, side-by-side footage of Melania dodging questions, Trump's past interviews about Epstein, and grainy clips of Ivanka looking visibly shaken at a gala earlier this year. The energy online was electric. Nobody knew what to believe anymore. But then came the most shocking blow yet. A trending hashtag exploded overnight. Hashtag Epstein video leak. Anonymous accounts started circulating claims that there exists an unreleased Epstein flight log video featuring a figure resembling Melania boarding a private plane with Epstein in the late 1990s. No proof, no official confirmation. But the mere possibility was enough to send shockwaves across every corner of the internet. Trump immediately went into meltdown mode again, releasing another unhinged Truth Social post at 4 a.m. Fake KE news. Totally false. Melania is an ANGEL. Never met Epstein. Another witch hunt. They're trying to destroy me and my family before the election. Won't work. His words only added fuel to the fire. Critics began calling it the OJ defense: deny, deflect, but never explain. Meanwhile, Melania was reportedly seen storming out of Trump Tower, visibly upset, surrounded by a tight security detail. Paparazzi claimed she was screaming into her phone before jumping into a black SUV and speeding off. Nobody knows where she went. Hours later, reports surfaced that Melania may have fled to one of her private residences, cutting off communication with Trump entirely. The fracture between them has never seemed wider. Insiders whispered that Donald begged Melania not to leave the country because it would look like an admission of guilt. But others suggested she might already be preparing for a future without him, potentially ready to negotiate her own immunity deal if investigations intensify. The whispers of divorce resurfaced louder than ever, but this time with an added edge. If Melania cuts ties, could she take Trump down with her? And then came the final, jaw-dropping rumor: an alleged Epstein associate is preparing to testify publicly. Sources claimed this individual, who had remained silent for decades, is ready to drop names, including one that will shock the world. The cryptic tease left people convinced that either Melania, Ivanka, or even Trump himself could be directly implicated in ways nobody imagined. CNN teased the testimony as imminent. Fox News dismissed it as election interference. Twitter called it the moment the truth finally explodes. But the scariest part? According to one unverified leak, this testimony isn't just about who knew Epstein. It's about who protected him. So now the world is left holding its breath. Will Melania break her silence and defend herself? Will she let Trump spiral further out of control, dragging their family down with him? Will this so-called Epstein video ever surface, or is it just another hoax meant to destabilize Trump's comeback? And most importantly, who is the mysterious associate about to testify? And will their bombshell finally bring the Trump empire crashing down? The stage is set, the tension is unbearable. And one thing is crystal clear: this story is far from over. And there you have it, folks. What started as whispers about Melania's connection to Epstein has erupted into one of the most chaotic scandals of the year. From Trump's unhinged late-night posts to Melania's storming out of Trump Tower, the cracks in their empire are widening in real time. But let's be clear. This isn't just about family drama. This could be the tipping point that reshapes not only Trump's personal legacy, but also his political future. Ask yourself this: if the rumors of leaked videos, sealed testimony, and FBI shutdowns are even half true, what comes next? Will Melania step forward and tell her side of the story? Or will she stay silent, leaving Trump to take the heat while she protects herself? Because, let's not forget, when the pressure gets this high, people don't just stand by quietly. Deals get cut, allies turn into enemies, and secrets that were buried for decades suddenly explode into the open. And don't think for a second that the public will let this go. Social media is already demanding answers. Journalists are circling,